Yeah, we are live. So before I bring Fumbi, in fact, let me bring in Fumbi, man. I'm gonna bring you in, bro. But that was awful. In case you missed it, obviously you wouldn't because you watched the game. Newcastle 0, Manchester City 2. And anybody would have thought, sorry for me, I'm just talking to myself and the people that are actually listening. That it just makes you shake your head like you're no, we're not within our go. We can't give it a proper go. And from the start, from the get-go, sorry for me, it didn't work. I mean, what's your thoughts, bro?
You know what? I hear what you're saying. I hear what people are saying. Like, you can't play City, ball for ball. I hear that. But what you can't do is not play them at all. You can't do that. The first half, we barely got past the halfway line, right? We're looking like, even under Rafa, under his most defensive formations, we still, even if people were coming at us, there was an element of control when we got out. With this one, there was nothing, right? So we're lining up at the back. Shaw, I knew it. I don't know why we changed so much, because I just knew when you come into a game like this and you haven't played in like 3 months, you're going to have mistakes in you. Why is Shaw pushing Jesus in the box twice? Don't know. We could have gone into that.
I mean, we wind it back. First of all, why is Shaw starting? First of all, and secondly, why is Shaw being put in the center of defense? I don't get it, because it's clear as day Shaw works more effectively in defensive midfield, and that's what happened in the second half. I feel like we got it sort of right too late, way too late, and we can't do that. We can't afford that. We're already 1-0 down. We've already conceded the penalty. We've had, I mean, the possession stats were a joke. I think they had like 150 shots, or no, 150 passes. 150 passes.
We got 15.
15.
And so, and those passes weren't. And I think the
man. And that was within the first 20 minutes, right?
I think they count the kickoff pass as well.
14 others that probably did not connect whatsoever. And we've got, I mean, look, let's talk through the starting lineup, because the starting lineup baffled me. As I said before, we've got to play our best players against Man City. Darlow in goal, sorry, as much as I love him, I know he's been a cup keeper, he doesn't start ahead of Dubravka any time whatsoever. Even if Dubravka's half injured, he starts. That's the first one. The second one, I was saying Shelvey should have started. I could see why Longstaff started, because he offered that bit more grit. I didn't see Shelvey. No, but I know you shake your head, bro, but Shelvey doesn't get around like Longstaff, and I can see that. The third one, obviously Carroll starting. He played well in the previous game ahead of Joe Linton. Okay, I'll get that one. Cool. But at the same time, he's null and void if he hasn't got the people around him. You might as well have no one up front. Nobody. And
I didn't know Miggy was playing till the camera picked him up.
Bro, oh my. Listen, any Miggy defenders now, please bring them to me, because Miggy was an ineffective. I'm not saying ASM was any better. Trust me, because ASM was pretty much, his touch was atrocious. He's all over the place. But again, Miggy, I didn't know he was playing.
You know what, Clinton? The coach set it up all wrong, man. He didn't put the fear of God in them. He made them play with the handbrake on. You see what I'm saying? Like, in the second half, if you think about it, City they couldn't play the same football they were playing before. You understand? In the first half, they were just literally pinging it around. Funny enough, though, what's his name? Shaw didn't give away that penalty, we could have gone in halftime 0-0, With that terrible football.
I know, that's the thing as well. Like, I know it's actually shocking that we could have actually got in 0-0. Barring that, as poorly as we played, the possession stats, with lack of passes, with the lack of any creativity, we could actually got in 0-0. Barring that one push. So, I don't know. I never want to see us line up like that again. I know we've had Rafa and he parks the bus, he parks the triple decker and all the rest of it, but I thought those days were gone. Like, no, I don't want to see us play like that at home, even though we're not in the ground, we're still watching at home at all. That was so negative, and that's coming from me. And sorry, Pete, you're in now,
Pete,
and I've seen the positives come off your name chat, Pete, as well, innit? You can't be positive about that one, bro. I know you already said it. I know you already said it. So a whole man's up. Yeah. Oh, I needed that. Carry on. Anyway,
look. Did we really expect anything different? I don't think so. Anyone that was saying that we were going into that game and that we were going to win was kind of, deluded, really. If we were ever going to win that game, it was going to be a miracle, and that's just the reality. That's the reality. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the formation. It doesn't matter how we play. We were never ever going to win that game, and barring a miracle, it wasn't going to change. However, if you're a Newcastle fan, when you saw that lineup, right, when you saw Carl Darlow starting that game, you would think, we're not getting anything from this. We're not. Now, I have to say, he played well. And I don't think he really put a foot wrong. So nope. I'm not a Carl Darlow fan. I have to be honest. I'm not whatsoever. But to be honest, he played well. Now, we can talk about formations. We can talk about performances. I know you said about Miggy. Miggy didn't play well. It was an anonymous game from him. The tactics didn't help. But he didn't do enough. But there was others that didn't do enough. However, we got to 41, 42 minutes and we were still in that game. Now, we would have gone in at half time if it wasn't for Fabian Schär. Now, I have to, that guy, he pissed me off. And he pissed me off massively. And I know, Ruby, you're laughing. You're going, mate, you're laughing. You're thinking this is a joke. This is not a joke, right? And I tell you why. It's not just a penalty, right? I looked at that guy in the lineup before the game, and he did not want to be there. He did not want to be in that game today. And you could tell. And his body language and his mindset, he was drifting out of position. And that's why I made a point of saying earlier, right, that I thought Lascelles played really, really well, because it was time after time after time that Lascelles was bailing him out of the crap every time, because his positioning was off. He wasn't tracking men. He was all over the place. He literally looked like he had stars going around his head. He was dizzy. He was absolutely dizzy. Now, you can say about it, oh, he's unfit, blah, blah, blah. No. Right.
No,
if you're moaning and groaning, which I've heard that he is, no. I'm on about Shaw. If you're Shaw and you're moaning and groaning about not starting the game, right, you should be up for this. Quarterfinals of the FA Cup. You should be absolutely buzzing, right, and wanting to show Bruce, this is why I start the game. This is why I was Player of the Year. This is why the fans loved me last season. Now, he did the absolute opposite. Right, he wasn't on it, and he wasn't interested at all. Even in the second half, he wasn't on it. Right, that ball was way over Shaw's head when it came into the box. Why he felt the need to put his hands on him, not just once but twice in that movement, I have no idea. It was absolutely ridiculous, and it was pointless, and that's what cost us the first half. Not the formation, not the fact that he sat in, because other than that, they didn't really create anything. Nothing clear cut. No. I thought we were dogged. I thought we defended well. I thought Lascelles and Fernandez were our two best players today. Caldado played well, but Fernandez and Lascelles, I felt sorry for them, because I don't think they, as a centre-back pairing, I don't think they put a foot wrong. I thought they both played well. And I think Schär in the first half let them down. And then, Raheem Sterling's a fantastic player. It was a very, very good finish. But we should have been 1-1 at that point in time. And if that ball had gone in from Dwight Gale, Raheem Sterling doesn't get that chance to score. It's as simple as that. Because the play continues.
No, they go with the pace and get the goal. We can talk about the Gale miss in a minute. We haven't even got that far yet.
I can't hear you, Clinton. It's gone off.
So you can hear me now?
1 second. I'll go off and then.
I can hear you. Right.
Yeah, cool. Right, we weren't even that far yet. We're going to talk about. Still need to talk about this formation, and a lot of people commenting about why we're playing five. Five doesn't work. Bruce had found his formation. He had found four at the back. It worked for him. And Byron, I know we're playing against Manchester City. We should have kept the same. I think. Me personally, I think we should have kept the same, and try to play some sort of game, because Defending, we can't defend like that for 90 minutes. That's tiring. It's tiring me watching it. We can't run around like that for 90 minutes.
He panicked. He wanted to. He heard City was coming. I would have preferred if we lost 5-0 with playing well. Do you see what I'm saying? But that first formation, the first half, again, like Pete said, it's incredible that we could have actually gone into that half time 0-0. Bar Shaw losing his mind. I didn't want Shaw to start. I didn't want it to change it too much because I just knew when you change it that much, you're going to lose a lot of rhythm, a lot of understanding. And it just happened. Shaw did not want to play. He was terrible. Schoolboy errors. Schoolboy. And we had no outlet. The whole time, we'd get the ball right. We couldn't string 2 passes together.
Yeah.
It was actually painful to watch.
Yeah.
Like Mendy's not a great left back, you know. He's not actually a great left back. He was on our touchline the whole game.
Yeah.
I was saying that as soon as we moved ASM to wide right, we had a problem. That's why we got the chance. That's why we got the goal chance. I don't know why it took so long to move ASM to the right, and that's it. It baffles me because the last 2 games we've been playing well with ASM on the right, Miggy on the left. For some reason we moved it back round and we wasn't working. ASM looked tired. His touch was gone. He looked awful.
Otamendi, centre back, with 2 or 3 errors in him in the game. We didn't even get there. He did one. He already did one. When we started putting pressure on him, he gave that 1 error away. This could have been happening from the first half. He has mistakes in him. We didn't even get that close.
They all have mistakes in them. The whole back 4, even Laporte, who's a good defender, but even he has a mistake in the whole back 4. Now, you know, I would think probably a total of maybe 5-6 minutes ASM played on the right-hand side before he got subbed. But yet we created the best chance of the game from him playing there. It did not make sense at all. It didn't make sense for ASM to waste energy playing that game today for as long as he did, just running and tracking back defenders. I'd rather, I'm not being funny, if we were going to play that style, and that formation can be changed to be more attacking. We have been more attacking in the past playing that formation. But if you're Bruce and you're telling your team to defend as much as that, I'd have rather ASM on the bench. Because all you're doing is wearing him down. You're wasting him. You're wasting him, even when he gets the ball. And to be fair, the commentary talked about he lost the ball a couple of times. Yeah, but when he looks up, he's got Andy Carroll, and I'll talk about Andy Carroll in a second, but you've got Andy Carroll that's 50 yards away, that's not making a move or making any sort of movement to want and receive the ball at his feet or make a movement into space where he can play with him. And then he's got 3 defenders around him. Now, Pep Guardiola's not stupid. He knows if Newcastle are going to get anything from the game, it's when ASM's got the ball at his feet. So what you do is put 3 men around him and make it very, very difficult to get out of that. Now, whenever he did get the ball and he lost it, he had men around him. He had 2, 3, sometimes 4 men around him. What are you expecting him to do? He is not a magician, right? No. He produces moments of magic, yes. But when you've got a team as good as Man City, not just in their quality, but their organisation and structure, you have to make sure that you've got men around him that are going to be able to play off him. Now, we did that in the second half in small moments. We allowed him to get the ball, and we allowed him to get the ball in space and to run at players. And that's how the Gale chance came along. But, you know, I'll be honest with you, I was so glad when I took him off. Because I'm thinking it's typical of Newcastle that we kept him on and he kept plugging away and running, and then ends up putting his hamstring and then we don't see him for the rest of the season. You know, it would have been typical Newcastle for that to happen. So I was actually glad when he came off. I was glad that when he came off. I was glad that Carroll came off, but for slightly different reasons.
I don't know. I'm lost for words because, as I said at the start of the stream, I jokingly thought we was going to win. But I didn't think we were going to get dominated just like that. And also, if we're going to have some sort of chance, we've got to give ourselves a chance. And making those 3 changes, probably the one main one was share that just didn't work. And then even the changes, the in-game management did not work whatsoever. Like, you've got to manage the game. It did not work. You could anything right at all. So
you could not. Sorry, go on, Clint. Sorry, finish that.
No, I'm done. I'm just gonna spout off stuff and then come in and come out.
No, it's fine. All I was going to say is that nobody could have foreseen that Fabian Schär performance. I think I talked about the fact that Fabian Shaw would come into a back five on Wednesday, and I was cool with that. And I was cool when I saw him in the starting lineup. To be fair, other than Darlow, I was happy with that lineup. No one could foresee his attitude, his mentality, his lack of determination to fight for the club and for the team on the pitch today. No one could foresee that. And he has to. He has to. He's got some questions to answer there in the back, because Bruce will know that, and the other players will know that.
You got to change it. You got to change it soon and surely. Like, if you can see him getting all that position and all the rest of it, surely, like, even like, look, early substitution, Kieran Clark or Lejeune or someone or something, or change it to a back four. Why let it go on for so long? Because it wasn't just that one. He was getting pulled here, definitely left, right. And then in the second half, we finally make the change and push him further forward, so he's less of a liability. But by that time, we're 1-0 down, and we're already fighting an uphill battle against Man City at 0-0. But 1-0 down, boy, come on.
I get what Bruce is trying to do. Bruce is trying to he's trying to encourage him to play through it. So he had his bad moments, and he's trying to get him to play through it and produce some good moments. The reality is that even in defensive midfield, he was lost. He was lost. As a defensive midfielder, he was found out on the left-hand side, on the touchline, losing the ball, and then the ball would get cut inside to David Silva, and there'd be no one there because Hayden and Longstaff are looking around thinking, where's my defensive midfielder? And he's out on the left-hand side because he's got no positional play. I'm sorry, that's why he doesn't play in the back two. And I've said it from the beginning. Fabian Shaw was brought to Newcastle to play in a back five by Rafa Benitez. Rafa was very particular and very meticulous in how he signed his players. Now, he knew Fabian Shaw could only play in a back five because that's how he plays for his national team. And that's where he played, I think it was for Deportivo, the team we signed him from, right? And he can't play in any other formation. So when you play him there, he has to be with the two other centre backs because positioning wise, he was all over the place. The problem is that he was all over the place today in the back five. So you can't do much more with that. You can't. And like I say, Lascelles and Fernandez, I felt sorry for because they bailed him out time and time again. And to be fair, Manquillo did as well. He actually really tried to get forward at times, Manquillo, and I felt sorry for him. But he'd make a 60-yard dash forward, and then the ball would fall back into possession of Man City, and then they have to make a 60-yard dash back just because he knew he had to protect Fabian Shaw. I felt sorry for him as well. But yeah, it's poor. It was poor. The first half was poor. We came out with a little bit more attitude and a little bit more enthusiasm to get forward in the second half. And to be fair, for 10, 15 minutes, we did push Man City back. But you can't miss those chances. I'm sorry, right? You can't.
I know. I'm going to talk about some of the rare positives out of this game. Danny Rose, I think, had one of the better games. Of whoever's boot it was, I think Jesus' boot, that was good.
Yeah.
After that, I'm kind of struggling. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, no, Fernandez, well,
Darlow
goals. Darlow, yes. Manquillo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm over this Longstaff dream. I'm over it, man.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing. I'm not over it, but there comes a point where people start talking about these Longstaffs for talking's sake. Yes, they are two very promising young players that have come through the academy. But I'm not being funny. That's not enough. It's not enough to get into your first team. You have to start putting performances in. Now, Longstaff, he ran around. He tried to look menacing at times, but didn't really do much today. Didn't really do much for me to think. Is he going to really shift Hayden and Shelvey? Nah. Matty Longstaff just looked like he was just playing out the game. If he's trying to justify 30 grand a week, at the age of 20. He did not justify that today. Now, he wasn't on very long. I have to say, he wasn't on very long. And I'm hoping he's going to get minutes between now and then the season. Now he's fit, both of them, to show that they are worth the money that they're commanding. Because I know Sean Longstaff is commanding an even bigger deal, even though he had one just over a year ago, for more money. They both are. Now, I'd like to be proven wrong, but I haven't seen anything that says to me that either of them are going to shift the midfield to at the moment.
Cool. We're going to bring someone new into conversation. Marv, welcome, Marv.
Guys,
Best
Marv,
yeah,
can
bro.
you hear me?
The only thing I can ask is what have you made of it? What you made of it? Because we've been chatting away for the past 20 minutes now. We've not really had much good things to say because there wasn't anything good to say apart from maybe Rose's clearance off the line or off Jesus' boot and a good, decent performance from Lascelles and Fernandez. But what could you make of that overall, bro?
I guess hindsight's a wonderful thing, because when I spoke to you guys earlier, I was a big advocate of having 5 at the back, but in hindsight, it just didn't work. We paid Man City way too much respect at the beginning of the game, just letting them have the ball. I think at one point it was bordering on like 90% possession, and then moving Shah to defensive midfield helped to stem the tide a little bit. But I don't know if Shelby wasn't fit. He should have come on maybe and put Hayden in defensive midfield. I agree with Pete's point as well, where ASM, I just felt sorry for him, where he was doing so well the last couple of games on the right-hand side, and then we just decided to switch him back, where if you got a player like Carroll in the middle, you want ASM whipping crosses in like he did for Gale, and Almiron on the other side, but they couldn't get outside the fullback because we were playing him on the inside, so ASM was just cutting in and then cutting into traffic. And then I think he was just so tired from the defensive side that when he got the ball, like what was already said, he had like 3 or 4 players around him. So, yeah, positives. Danny Rose had a decent game considering what was going on. And then I don't really know what to say. It's just really disappointing. Man City came out to play, but the formation was just all wrong. I think we had to match them up. So the first half, they had 2 in the middle, and we had 2 in the middle, and they had 3. So they were just playing triangles around us the whole time.
I've got to say shout out to Daz and McKay. Obviously the admin from our group chat. He says the positive is that we didn't get battered 5-0. I mean, that probably is one of the positives, because let's face it, everyone was putting us down for a 5-0 drubbing. We kept it down to 2, so we kept it respectable. Right, now's the time. Let's talk through that Gale chance. I mean, if it goes in, it's 1-0 at the time. If it goes in, it's 1-1. Different game altogether. That's the difference between, as I said on Twitter, that's the difference between mediocre and world class. He misses, they go down the other end, put the ball. Sterling, fantastic. I've got to give it to him. Like, fantastic goal, and it's 2-0. But that chance, and if he could have fell to anyone on the pitch, it should have been him.
The thing is,
I don't know.
I think
I'm not the word. Help me.
I think everyone got gassed because he come on against Villa and banged it like 90 seconds, right? But the thing is this: I understand. You know, I don't think Gale's a world-class striker anyway, but I understand everyone's feeling that you put that away. You have to put that away. Yeah, but if you look at Gale's career at Newcastle, are you surprised that he missed that chance? I'm not. I'm really not. Like, I was never confident.
Come on,
for me, I've got to be honest. I am surprised, because I tell you what, you know, they're the type of finishes that he was producing when he first signed for us, right?
Yeah.
And you know, they're the kind of you look back to the goals that he scored in the Championship. Now, it doesn't matter what team you're playing against. When you're in that position, you could be playing against Man City or you could be playing against Birmingham City, right? When that chance comes across the box, it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You put that in the net, right? That's a gift. That's what striking.
Yeah.
I mean, I played it since I was 10 years old. That would be a gift, right? Any striker should be putting that away. Now, the thing that I'm frustrated about is that, you know, Gale whines and moans about the fact that he doesn't play. You know, he's you know, you could tell after the game when he was talking, you know, against Villa, that he's frustrated that he's not playing. Well, go and show us why he should be starting games. Put that ball in the back of the net. I'm not being funny. This is the question mark. And this is why there's always been a question mark about Dwight Gale. Can he cut it in the Premier League? Can he cut it and score goals against the best? Right? So like doing it for West Brom and Newcastle in the Championship, when you're the best team and you're going to create more chances than everyone else, fine. But if you want to prove that you're a Premier League striker, put the ball in the net. right? He can't make any excuses after that miss today. That ball should have been put in the net, and we got punished. Any decent team would punish you for it, okay? And that's the reality of what happened. Sorry.
Even the Sterling goal, yeah. I honestly thought to myself, you're not going to let him shoot, are you? It's not going to happen, right?
He walked through.
Players didn't track back. You know,
Mankia's got to show him down the line as well. He just let him put in field. Sterling on the
He was
right.
worried of Mendy. He was worried about Mendy.
Yeah.
To be fair, Marv, you're right, and actually he did show him down the right hand side. But if Mankiw is trying to show him down the right hand side, he needs to have that support of the midfielder to come in and to protect him if he does try and turn inside. The problem is that we were too slow to react. Joe Linton does then finally get back, but because Raheem Sterling's so quick, he kind of leaves him stumbling. And then he can't get back to actually block the shot, and that's why the shot goes in. And it was just the lack of tracking back at that point in time. But as I say, Dwight Gale puts that ball in the net. It's 1-1. Raheem Sterling doesn't get that opportunity a minute later. And our tails are up at that point. And our players go up 5 or 10%. And the game twists. The game twists at that point. It's in the balance again. And with us attacking and showing more emphasis going forward, who knows what could have happened? But this is it. This is why we've been calling for scoring. Sorry, go on.
Do you know what killed me, Pete? It's the pass from Laporta to Foden that killed me. Yeah. I was like, there's no way he should be able to pass to his centre mid from that distance. And Foden brought it down.
Yeah.
I was like, where are we? And then he just squares it to Sterling, and no one still thinks alarm bells. We're just strolling.
No structure. That's what I say.
Come on, man.
You know what? It reminded me. It looked like a training game. It actually looked like a training game, especially in the first half. Defense versus attack. It was like we were just kicking it out. Oh, come back again. Second wave, third wave, fourth wave. You see where I'm going with this? And it was just like we had no clue whatsoever. Carroll, I think the best thing we did in the first half was when Carroll brought it down, kicked it one time to Mankiw, and that's it. We had nothing. That is it. That's the highlight of our half. Like, good luck. Our highlight. That is the highlight of the first half. Done. For us, anyway. Obviously, they went and scored, but for us, that's a shambles, bro. I mean, look, it's still going to look good on Bruce's TV that he got us to the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, first time in God knows how many years. Do you know what I mean? Mid-table as suspected. But I don't know. How do we judge this season after this now? Like, what do we do? How do we go forward from here? Because we've got Bournemouth coming up next. Yeah, come on, crack on.
You know what? Prior to Corona, when we got the draw, because of the way we were moving, I said, you know what? I think we can do a thing here, you know. But once Corona hit, I just feel we lost ourselves.
Yeah, well, the fans not being there is a massive loss. The fans not being there is a massive loss. That's the extra 10% that you have going into a game, and that's why the fans are so frustrated that they weren't able to be there today, because they know, you know, if you know Newcastle, you know that the fans make the difference. You know, when the fans are behind you at St James's Park, when they're behind you, because they're not always. And this has been traditional now since the days of Sir Bobby Robson. You're talking about 2005. When they're behind you, there's no better fans in the country, and they do give you that extra 10%, and we would have needed that today. And just imagine that ball going in, Dwight Gale scoring, the fans are there, we go mad, right? That puts our tails up, and we give them a game, because it's exactly what we did under Rafa, right? When Rondon scored that goal, and it put our tails up, and we looked dangerous, and Man City did not know what to do. And then we got the penalty, and we won the game. Right, anything's possible. So that's a bigger loss.
The whole game. Did you notice that Pep was pissed the whole game?
Yeah,
because they weren't even breaking us down like that. You know,
he got pumped at Chelsea. Well, not pumped, but he got beat at Chelsea. Lost the league title. He's taking it out on us. Taking it out from the first minute. Goal. Goal. Keep going. I want 4 or 5.
Yeah, but that was the frustration. Fordy, that's the frustration. That's why Pep was getting frustrated, because for all the possession, You can have 85% possession, but actually, if you look at the clear-cut chances that they created in that first half, there wasn't really any. There weren't really any clear-cut chances,
No.
and that's been the case before when we played that 5 at the back. Is that yes, we played that to concede possession, but they didn't actually create anything clear-cut, and that's why it's even more frustrating what Shaw did, because Shaw gave them the breakthrough that they needed. Right? If we'd have gone in at half time and they'd have tried to break us down, and not got through, they would have gone in frustrated. And that could have changed the game. And then us going more positive in the second half, it's like a tale of two halves we could have played, is by being defensive and seeing out the first half. As I said to you before, it was about staying in the game, giving us a chance late in the game to still be in the game. Right, and that was the plan. It wouldn't have surprised me, and we'll probably never know this, whether Bruce was intending to go 5 in the first half, and if we went in at 0-0, to then go and be more positive in the second half to try and spring on an attack or spring on a change that they couldn't be able to handle. And I don't know, maybe that was the thought. Who knows? But you know, we were there. We were almost there. And it was like a moment of stupidity from a defender that hadn't played well and didn't look like he wanted to be on the pitch, that's lost it for the rest of them. So those guys like ASM and Miggy and people that were running around and running their asses off, Hayden, who was touch and go for today, who I thought, worked hard, didn't do massively great on the ball, but worked hard. He must be coming off thinking, I've worked my arse off this 45 minutes. And if it weren't for him pushing that guy when he didn't need to, we could have been in with a chance. And it affects the mentality. It completely affects the mentality. Even in the second half, other than the Sterling finish, which if we'd have scored would never have happened, where really were the clear-cut chances that they created for all the possession that they had? There weren't really that many clear-cut chances.
Yeah, Darlow was...
Sorry?
Darlow wasn't overworked or anything, so you're right.
No, not at all. Not at all. And that's why Pep was frustrated. Going back to the original point, that's why he was frustrated. Because for a team that had that much possession and only really scored 2 goals, that really wasn't enough, or shouldn't really tell the story.
Never looked like scoring today. Jesus never looked like scoring. Never.
Yeah. But he never does against us.
He never does. Always Sterling. Always Sterling. We go
Sterling or Aguero.
Mahrez was quite quiet as well, wasn't he? He didn't really do much.
You know what? I love Mahrez.
You know what? What Pete said about Dwight Gale, about Gale scoring those chances, Mahrez should have scored in the first half.
Yeah.
He was trying to score top bins. You could see it every single time.
He was looking for precision
every single time.
Yeah.
Back, thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it. Boom, just over the bar. He was getting closer and closer. As soon as he come up, it was like, cool. But then he brought on the cavalry.
You know what? He was trying to do tiki-taka. He wanted to look sexy. He didn't just want to score. He wanted to look sexy.
But that's the way he plays. I absolutely love Mahrez. I think he's such a talented player. He reminds me a lot of Ben Arthur in the way that he plays. Yep. He's so dynamic. I could watch that lad play all day. And to be fair, he was our biggest danger, because he was the one that actually just needed to shift the ball and shoot. And he weren't afraid to take that shot on. Yeah. They didn't go in, but he was the main danger, because he's the guy that can put the ball in the top bins. And he was frustrated that he wasn't getting enough joy down that side, and that's where Rose gets the praise, not necessarily ASM, but Rose gets a lot of praise, because Rose did a job. He did a job on him in the first half. He made sure that he wasn't winning anything. So when Mahrez was having to come further inside to get away from Rose to get those shots off, right, he was just trying to create something, because they knew as a team they weren't creating any clear-cut chances. But I do love Mahrez. I think he's a fantastic player.
He's got that
he's
bit
just
of
got better and better.
Robin about him, hasn't he? Where you can put in on his left and you can't stop him.
Yeah.
You see, De Bruyne, I think we were so scared of De Bruyne today. Like, we were shook with him.
He didn't play well. He didn't have to, though. He played his defensive midfielder.
Yeah,
he played so deep.
Midfield job.
Yeah, De Bruyne he was just sitting back, chilling. He didn't have to do much, because he had everyone's the beauty at him compared to us. If ASM doesn't play well, we don't play well, and that just goes to show. With them, Kevin De Bruyne doesn't play too well. Oh, they still got Mahrez, they still got Sterling, they still got Jesus and all these other people. But it is what it is, man. Like, they're through, as you can see along the bottom. The FA Cup semi-final was done already. So Man United have got Chelsea, and then Arsenal have got Manchester City. Don't need to worry about that. But how do we worry about going forward now? Because we've got Bournemouth coming up now. They're fighting for a relegation. I do not want to see us lining up or playing like that against Bournemouth.
I don't care.
Put that out.
I don't care if we lose 5-0 against Bournemouth. I want a 5-6 game. I want us to be in that net every 5 seconds because the season's done. So there's nothing to worry about. I want us to express ourselves. We need to act like wounded dogs against Bournemouth.
And Fumbi's absolutely spot on. We should be going out right, and we should be going out to prove a point in that next game. I was happy that Shelby and Richie didn't play. Richie wasn't even in the squad because I'm hoping that both of them are going to start Wednesday, and he was giving them a 7-day rest after those niggles. And we should be going against Bournemouth, who are not playing well at the moment, who are worried that they could be getting relegated, and they're not going to be coming out all guns blazing like they normally do. They're going to be apprehensive. They're going to be unsure of what we've got and the dangers that we've got, and we need to go and attack them. We've got nothing to lose. We've got nothing to lose. We're okay, not mathematically safe, but we are safe. They're not going to catch us, right?
No.
So we should be going right. We want to go and get 3 points from this. Because if you look around the table, Southampton have gone 11th today with their 3 points on 40 points now, right? There's a potential for us to finish in the top 9 if we really wanted to. Well, what are we, 6 points behind Sheffield United? Sheffield United were talking about being in European positions. We've got an opportunity, right? And I'm not saying we're going to get into Europe because that's not going to happen. But what I'm saying is that we've got an opportunity now to really kind of risk-free go for some of these teams, go against the likes of Bournemouth and the likes of Watford and the likes of Brighton, who are all worried about staying up in this league and saying, right, we're going to go and attack you, and we're going to go and show our attacking intent and really put teams to the sword. We've got an opportunity to do it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that hopefully on Wednesday as is kind of hitting back.
Yeah, on Wednesday, I think it's important how we set the tone. So the first 10-15 minutes, we need to put them under pressure, not sitting back, and we need to be going forward because most games with us, we know that they're really tight if we're going to win. So the first goal is really crucial, and we need to go on the front foot, set the tone.
Definitely, and that's the thing.
Do you know what I mean? We've got no excuses now. We're out of the FA Cup now. We've got nothing else to play for apart from points. And there's a lot of people in our squad that have got points to prove. Gale, although he probably is out the door, he's still got a point to prove. Matty Longstaff's still got a deal to win. Cher, he's definitely got to win us over because that was awful. Goalkeepers wise, Darlow, he could be out the door. We just signed a new one. Possibly we could be replacing Woodman. Do you know what I mean? There's a few people that have got points to prove, so they need to go out and put out a performance. Even the likes of ASM, that wasn't like him today. Miggy was non-existent. Joe Linton still got to find out a run of form. So really and truly now, we need to do what Man City did to us to Bournemouth in that effect. We need to go at them and say, look, we're out of the FA Cup. We're going to come at you, hammer you guys, and put you to the sword because that is just not good enough for me. Sorry, but I know it's Manchester City and you're like, oh, it's too much and all the rest of it, but not like that, man. Not like that. Anyway, what are you saying, Fumbi, bro?
Bro, the coach has a point to prove. Steve Bruce needs a big point to prove because
100%.
You can't play football like that.
Yeah.
You can't play like that.
But
that
is a good point. Good point. How do we judge him? How do we judge his season now? Because we was like, oh, Rafa never got to the quarterfinal. Okay, cool. He's not. But yeah, carry on. Sorry.
You know what? I feel sorry for him because he can't compensate for Shaw being an idiot 3 minutes before half time. He just can't do that. You see what I'm saying? His plan would have actually worked if second half we came out and expressed ourselves. Even if we lost, I didn't mind that. But what I've noticed is when he started bringing on subs, he was just hoping for something to happen. There was no clear plan. You're just bringing on guys,
Yeah. He was.
True.
It was just kind of hit and hope, really, in terms of his subs. Just hope something was going to magically, sort of muster itself up. But look, this doesn't judge Bruce's whole season, right?
No.
This performance, it's you look at it. Quarterfinals of the FA Cup. When was the last time we were in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup? It was a hell of a long time ago. He's got an opportunity now to kind of cement his year-long stay at the club, and I hope it only is a year. He's got an opportunity to I'm sorry. He's got his.
What's going on, positive? I thought he was gonna.
I am being positive. Sorry. I'm saying I'm hoping it's only a year. That's positive for me.
Come on. Get this guy out.
Listen,
let's be honest, that's positive for all of us if it's only a year.
I'm going to ask you this. Why did he surpass your expectations? Because obviously when he came in, off the rapper, he was thinking, this guy. But as he kind of surpassed expectations, despite his loss.
Of course he has, because at that point that he came in, when we were on that tour and we'd not had a pre-season and the season was starting like 2 weeks later, right? Everyone was convinced we were down. All the pundits, all the radio stations, Sky, all the fans, we were adamant that we were going down. There was no way that we were going to stay in this league. So to be on 39 points with 7 games to go and the quarterfinals of the FA Cup, yeah, of course, exceeded expectations. And it goes back for me personally, it goes back to one thing, right? He's allowed us to be in a position to be taken over by keeping us in the league. And for that, he will go at the end of this season with a thank you, a handshake, and a well done. You're welcome back anytime for doing that. And we've now enhanced your reputation as a manager to go and get a better job than Sheffield Wednesday. Go and enjoy yourself. Off you go. And that's it. And I'm not being horrible with that. I'm not being horrible with that. That's just a realistic. That's just my realistic, honest opinion. Because look, we've benefited. If that all works out and materializes, which I believe it will, right? We've also benefited him, not just the other way around. We've enhanced his reputation, his profile, right? But he's got an opportunity now. Going back to football, he's got an opportunity now to improve his sort of legacy at Newcastle even further by getting us another 3 or 4 wins and pushing us up the table and maybe getting us to the top 10. And if he gets us that, great, fantastic. Does it keep him in the job for another season if we have or when we have new owners? No, it doesn't. But it helps him in the long run. So it's all good.
I'm just going to ask another question. Probably just going to be the last one. Judged on today's performance, what changes need to be made going into the Bournemouth game? Obviously, it's going to be glaring ones, but how much do you change it formation-wise, players-wise, going into this? Because we need to get 3 points. We need to get back on track, man. Marv, talk me through that, bro.
I'd say we need to go back to the formation we had before this game. We need to see who's fit. Hopefully Shelvey and Richie can come back in. Preferably Richie on the left and Maxman on the right. And
Amen.
I put Joe Linton
Amen
back
to that, man. Amen.
Yeah, I put Joe Linton back on. And Hayden fitness. I'm hoping Hayden's fit because he's going to be crucial in this game with the midfield battle. And with Shelvey, and like what's been said before, the Longstaffs for me as well, they've got a lot to prove. And I need Shara out of the team. He needs to sort his head out. So keep the same back four. And Dubravka back in goal is a miss. But Darlin did all right.
Is needed back in goal. You know what? I don't want to ever. One thing I don't want to see this season is him sitting on the bench ever again.
No.
Ever.
No way. Absolutely spot on. And I agree with what Marv said. Shaw needs to be out of the team. And actually, we've got the luxury of having 5 good centre backs at our club. So for me, after that performance, he should go to the back of the line. Where's Kieran Clark? Obviously, Lee was talking about it on the last chat. If he's fit, and I know he'd had surgery and he was a little bit sore, but he was training. If he's ready to go by Wednesday, put him in the squad. Put him in the squad. For me, I'd have him ahead of that because that kind of performance isn't what this team needs from Fabian Shaw. But I hope that today, because we haven't really talked about Carroll much, but I hope today gives the fans that reassurance that Carroll is only an impact sub and that the guy should not be starting games. And I was hoping to be proved wrong. And I actually didn't have an issue with him starting because we haven't seen what he's about really from a starting position since Sheffield United when we won away. And he had a decent game that night. So I'm thinking, if he produces that same performance, great. But actually, the thing that frustrated me about Carroll, and we talked about him bringing the ball down, and he was holding up the play, great. But what comes after that is nothing. He holds up the ball, and nothing then happens after that. So for me,
he's not going to score this season.
It's pointless. It's pointless having him up there. The thing that frustrated me the most about him is his lack of work rate off the ball. Right, we can whine and moan about Joe Linton all we want, but the boy runs. Right, he doesn't always run himself into the ground, but he runs. Even Dwight Gale runs off the ball. Andy Carroll, once he challenged for the ball in the air or he'd held the ball up, right, he literally stands in the same position and he does not move. Now, going back to the ASM point, if you're Miggy, you're ASM and you're out wide and you're receiving the ball, and you're trying to run at a player or try and get us up the pitch 5, 10, 15, 20 yards, you're looking up and you're seeing Andy Carroll literally walking. And I watched that whole 45 minutes and I wanted to keep an eye on Andy Carroll. He was the one player I focused on today. And he did absolutely nothing to try and receive the ball from a player or try and link the play other than the long balls up to him. If the long ball wasn't up to him, he wasn't interested. And that, for me, is not what striker's about. You've got to work off the ball. You've got to run. You've got to offer something. You've got to have some sort of movement. He did that as an impact sub against Villa. He did not do that at all today. And I was really disappointed with him because he needed to work harder off the ball to offer more. And he didn't. And he let his teammates down. He let the likes of ASM down because he had nothing to feed off. And then was crowded out, lost the ball, back into possession of Man City.
Terrible, man. Pete's 100% right, I'm just thinking of everything he said, thinking, man, no wonder we were so poor. We had 0 outlets.
Yeah.
Zero.
If the ball over the top, if the ball over the top wasn't there, right, or it wasn't right to him, or he lost the ball in an aerial challenge, you literally just honestly, if you get an opportunity to watch the 90 minutes back or that 45 minutes, just watch it. Once he challenges for the ball, he just literally stands there or he just walks back to the centre circle. He makes no effort to run, to track, or do anything of any note with any sort of intensity at all. That is not what you want when you're a defender and you're looking up the pitch and you're seeing him standing still like a statue or not moving. That's the last thing you want, right? I don't care injuries or not, right? If he can't work and run and chase as a striker, he should not be playing. I don't care how good he is in the air, and I don't care how good he is as a target man, right?
It's not basketball.
Exactly.
I know Joe Linton doesn't back goals, but he's good with his feet.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And he can pass the ball, he can link up a bit. Whereas Carroll wants wrestling matches. And I said it in before. If we're going to start Carroll, we've got no place to go after that. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? You've got nowhere to go after that.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to bring on Joe Linton, he's not going to score. So you just put more pressure on him. Yeah. Carroll should have come on as an option to give him another look. We started him.
Yeah. And that's the predicament that we're in. That's a particular we're in that we you don't want to start him because if he's not on his game like he wasn't today, in my opinion, then you haven't got an alternative. You haven't got another option. Yeah. So you play Joe Linton to do that bit of running, to tire out those defenders, and then you have someone like Carroll to come on and be rough and ruffle up the defenders. I don't mind that. I haven't got an issue with that. He did that today. Fair enough. But it was the work rate. It was the other things that went on that he didn't have in his game that I was disappointed with because the team needed that. The team needed that running. The team needed that offering of space, going out wide. I'm not being funny. The guy barely moved and he was offside more than any other person in our team. How does that even happen? I don't get how that happens. The guy doesn't move, but yet he's still offside. Like it does not make sense.
Offside rule, nothing's changed. Remember when we had Papi Cisse and he didn't know the offside rule? We kept getting offside every single game. We fast forward to 2020.
Yeah, Cisse knew where the goal was, though. Cisse would score in big moments. Cisse would get you a goal. And that's the difference.
I'll give him that.
You don't mind that. Craig Bellamy was exactly the same. if you're going back to the early 2000s under Bobby Robson, Craig Bellamy was exactly the same. I remember being in the stands all the time, being so wound up by Bellamy because I'm like, he's so quick. Why are you offside all the time? But you know, he'd be offside 5 or 6 times in a game, but he'd still get you 1 or 2 goals, or he'd create something for you. And that's the difference. You don't mind it as long as he makes the difference then in the game and does something good. Like Remy was the same. You know, Demba Ba was the same. You go back to all our strikers that were good, they all had their moments where they were offside all the time, but they would all produce moments of quality that made the difference.
Seems like we can never get it right. It's always lopsided. Before, we could never have a decent defense. Now we've got a decent defense. We can't have a decent attack. One day, hopefully, fingers crossed, we might get it right. But we're going to call it a day there, guys. Obviously, just to recap, we're out of the FA Cup, as you all know. 2-0 to Man City. Well done. They're through to the semi. Blah, blah, blah. We've got Bournemouth up next. So I'm sure we'll be back doing this. Ranting and raving Monday come Tuesday. And guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend, whatever's left of it. And yeah, try and support a different team apart from Newcastle. Because it's
never.
Painful as
right, let's be positive now. Let's be positive. Let's get back to 3 points at Bournemouth. Let's end it on that.
Okay. We're ending on that. 3 points. All right, take care, boys.
See you later, boys.